pregnant. Well, he just turned the other way, but all right, guys, this is my labor and delivery story of baby Drace. So Dylan and I found out we were pregnant November 4th of 2023. We told our parents, friends, and family some months later. My pregnancy went really, really well. My first trimester, I just had fatigue, no morning sickness, no nausea, puking, no complications. And I'm very grateful to God for that, because I feel like this whole pregnancy was ordained. And I know this is how he liked to sleep, y'all. He I don't know. And he's a hot body, so that's why he's naked. But the whole pregnancy was very ordained by God, because the scripture that he gave me was Numbers 6 verses 24 through 26. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. And so the blessing, the song The Blessing, by, I don't know their names right now, but it's on the top of my tongue, tip of my tongue, but I'll probably insert it. That song was in my head like my entire pregnancy. Like, I'll be crying and everything and just worshiping God to this song, because in the song they say, may his favor be upon you for 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. So I just really felt like the song was a blessing for baby Drace, right? And even thinking about his name, Dylan came up with Drace, and my mom was like, amazing Drace, like amazing grace. And I was like, because God's grace is amazing, right? Like, it's just, that's one thing that I always pray for, is his grace and his mercy. Like, I'm so thankful for that, for him sending his only begotten son to die on the cross for us, right? And so that's why I was like, this pregnancy was ordained. Although I, had troubles mentally and like coping with actually being pregnant as if I'm 16 or something, I knew it was ordained. I knew I had to do it. And so my birth plan was to do an unmedicated natural birth. And by God's will, I was able to do that. So before I get into that, my second trimester, I got my energy back, working my butt off. Third trimester, still, had some energy, just kind of slowed down closer to his due date, or closer to the date that he came. Because during my ultrasounds, since he was like 16 weeks, he was measuring big. Like, he was measuring 2 weeks ahead. And to me, I was like, okay, he could be a big baby, but that just seems about right to me about like timing, because they were saying my due date is July 10th just based off of my cycle, and I didn't really believe that. And so they were like, he's measuring June 30th though, but they wouldn't change my due date because it wasn't that far off from July 10th, and it was my first pregnancy, and first pregnancies tend to go pretty long. So yeah, I'm trying to think about anything else during my pregnancy. I was pretty small for a long time. People didn't say I looked that big. I felt big. I got stretch marks. That was different, looking in the mirror every day, honestly, truly. Knowing that this baby's stretching my body. And I knew that he was big. But people didn't believe me when I was like, yeah, he's like 8 pounds. During the time, like around that time that I had him, I was like, yeah, he's probably 8 pounds right now. They're like, nah. I'm like, yeah, I'm carrying him around. But I just didn't look super, super big. In the month of June, because in my head, I was telling people he was coming the end of June 30th. I was like, that's his due date, like June 30th. And they was like, really? I'm like, not really, but he's going to come around that time. I'm just talking, right? And so I was like, okay, God, I'm going to fast the month of June. And I'm pregnant, so I can't fully fast. But I know I can cut out sweets and cut out sodas and stuff like that. So I was eating my regular diet, but no sweets and no drinks or juice, only water. And I was doing it for the whole month of June. And so I was like, okay, God, if he don't come by July 1st, I'm breaking this fast. I was like, July 1st, I'm getting me a Coca-Cola whether he's here or not. So my 36-week appointment, which was still in June or end of May, one of the two. No, June. I was 1 centimeter and 50% of face, I want to say 70 or 50, 70. And so my cervix was like thinning, right? Like as if I'm getting ready to have a baby, but she didn't think nothing of it. She's like, yeah, you're a centimeter. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, She was like, have you had any contractions? I'm like, no. And I probably did here and there, but I think that I had contractions or cramps based on what I was doing, right? Like we were moving, so I'm like, I'm pushing my body a little too much during that time. I probably just thought my body was cramping that way. And I was doing water aerobics, doing yoga, walking here and there, fasting. So yeah, still working. Like I told my job, I'm working up until the day that I have him, and that literally is what I did. And so I was at my 38-week appointment, June 27th. I had went to work. I wasn't supposed to go because I was supposed to be working from home that week because my body was super tired. And I was like, either I'm tired or I'm tired because I'm about to have a baby. But one of the two, I'm working from home. That's what I told them. But that day I went in because we had interviews and I wanted to meet the people that we were interviewing and give my 2 cents. And so I left my job, driving across town and going to my doctor's appointment. I was late. I was on the phone with my mom like, hey, I think I had a back cramp. I usually get them around my period. And I was like, would that be a sign I'm in labor? She was like, no. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I had that. And that's about it. Because she was asking me how I was doing. I was like, but I'm on my way to the doctor to see if, I progressed any. And so I got to the doctor around 2:30. I got back there. She checks my cervix. She looks at me. She's like, have you had contractions? I'm like, no. She's like, were you 4 centimeters? I said, who? Who in the room is 4 centimeters? She's like, you, girl. I'm like, what? She's like, you having this baby this weekend. I'm like, hold on. Mind you, it was June 27th. I told God I wanted to have a baby in June. I didn't think he was listening, right? You know how you tell God something, but you like, he ain't listening to me. He got his own plan. I'm just talking over here. But he was really like, you already aligned with me, sweetheart. And so I'm looking at her. She looking at me. I'm like, so I'm about to have a baby? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh. She's like, you haven't had any cramps or anything? I'm like, no. That's why I'm like, whose cervix did you just check? So I tell my mom, tell my mother-in-law, tell my husband, tell my best friend, because she's my doula. And I asked my best friend to come over and twist my hair because I'm like, hey, girl, I took down my hair the night before because I was like, let me just wash it. But I was like, can you just wash it and twist it for me? Because I'm a little anxious, right? And just in case I have this baby. So she twists my hair and she was asking me if I was having any contractions. I was like, no, my stomach just kind of feels tight, which probably was a Braxton Hicks now that I think about it, but it didn't feel like anything. He always felt tight inside of me, like, because he was big and I'm small. I'm talking fast, but I'm trying to fit a lot, y'all. Around 11, I went to sleep and I had some contractions in my sleep. But, I'm a light sleeper, so I can hear people coming in. I wake up instantly. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna wake up like, what did you say to me? So I had them in my sleep. So I remember sleeping. I'm like, in my dreams, I'm like, I'm having a contraction. I don't know why it was crazy. Like I knew that was what was going on. I could feel my body tightening and letting loose and then tightening again, but I'm dreaming as well, right? So I wake up and I'm like, girl, you had about 6 of them in your dream. Well, while you were sleeping. So I was like, maybe I should time them because I had the app. timed them. I was like, okay, they're just a little irregular. So I tried to go back to sleep. I woke up at 1 to use the bathroom. I go to the bathroom and I had a long contraction. It didn't hurt. And I know people be like, what do contractions feel like? I had back labor, so baby, I pray you don't even get that. But 2, is a different feeling from regular labor, I'm pretty sure. But for me, it just feels like somebody was grabbing my waist really tightly and pressing on my back, right? Like just grabbing me tight and letting me go. That's how I felt at first, during those first contractions during that night. And so when I was using the bathroom, it was like a 2-minute contraction of somebody holding me really tight and letting me go. And I was like, this is annoying. I'm about to go get back in the bed. And when I got back in the bed, it wasn't like that. It wasn't that long. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep. Like, it's just on and off of me. Like, this ain't real. Let me go back to sleep. Because it's my first baby. And people say labor is gonna be really long for your first child. Excuse me. And I'm like, okay, let me not get my hopes up. And so I woke up at 3 and they were coming a little bit back to back. And so I was like, let me time them. And so I'm timing them back to back, and it's a rule that your contractions must be a minute long for an entire hour, 5 minutes apart for a minute for an entire hour. So the 5-1-1 rule. And so they were like 6 and 5 minutes apart, lasting a minute, then 30 seconds, a minute, 50 seconds, a minute, 40 seconds. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, but it went on for an hour. So I'm like, it has to be it. So I called my mom and I'm like, you might have a birthday twin. And she was like, okay, are you going to the hospital? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to go. And Dylan heard me and he just got up and got dressed. And I was like, well, I guess we're going to the hospital. We already had our bags packed and everything. I had a gift for my mom. I was like, oh, I was planning on coming to bring you your gift today. No. So we get the bags packed, go to the hospital. The ride to the hospital was maybe 15 minutes. I was prepared in my head. I was like, you know, the highway kind of gets bumpy where we were going. And I was bumping and I was like, oh, okay. But it wasn't intense contractions in the car. It was just annoying, especially with the bumps in the road. But we made it there. I walked in the hospital because Dylan had to go park the car. I walked by myself. I was like, where do I go? And the girl was like, you in labor? And I was like, yeah, girl. Do it look like it? She was like, no, girl. And I'm like, don't tell me that because I don't want them to send me home. And that was what I was afraid of. I was like, they gonna send me home because I'm not screaming, right? I was like, do I need to fake it? My mom was like, you might need to. Just keep that in the back of your head. But I got up there and they got me back there and the girl checks my cervix and she's like, you're 5 centimeters. And I was like, whose cervix y'all checking? And she's like, you're 5 centimeters. I was like, what? Now I'm having contractions, but they were not intense to me. Like, I'm talking to her and I could feel it. I'm like, I'm getting a contraction now. And the machine telling me that I'm getting one. They keeping his heart rate. I had my IV. But they weren't like super, super painful. I was just like breathing because I wanted to practice my breathing through them. But they were painful. She was like, we're keeping you. I'm like, oh, snap. I'm having a baby today. Literally the next day. It's not even 24 hours yet. Because I went to the doctor at 2:30, right? And so I don't think my active labor started until 11 that night is what I would like to say. So they took me up to my labor and delivery room. And in the room, guys, remember the scripture that I had? Numbers 6 verses 24 through 26? It was on the wall. And I was like, wow. It was like, the Lord bless you and keep you. I was like, what, God? I'm in the right room? You in the right room. Okay, let's not even start on that. Y'all know this sermon. You got to be in the right room, right? So I am like, okay, it's real. Dylan go gets the bags. I'm in the room. He turns on music. They're asking me my pain level. I'm like a 3 or a 4. They was like, what? I'm like, yeah. They was like, how are your contractions? I'm like, they don't feel really long. Even though I know they're a minute long, it felt like 30 seconds. And she was like, yeah, you're having a contraction right now. I was like, really? And the thing was, the contraction would start, I'm fine, I don't feel anything. And then like 15 seconds in is when I would actually feel the contraction. It would go for about 30 seconds of me feeling it, and then it would let down for 15 seconds to be that whole minute. He's so gassy. And so I'm laboring, back labor, y'all. So every time it would come, now it was hitting me in my back really strong, really strong. Again, my pain level, I told them, was still with 304. Like, it's bearable. I was a little nauseous, and so they had like a bag for me just in case I puked, but I never did. I had some ginger mints because I didn't want to throw up. And I was just breathing. I was like, that's how I was breathing through all of them. I didn't have on my glasses, so if I'm inserting videos and I'm squinting, it's because I can't see jack, okay? And it probably helped me out because I probably felt delusional. I told Dylan to do counter pressures. So somebody pressing on your back, you can't see my other hand, but pressing against the contraction was super helpful. He was like, am I hurting you? I was like, no, press harder. He was like, okay. So those were helpful. Standing up was great for me. I was able to use the bathroom, walk around, get back in the bed. It was hurting more when I was in the bed, but I was tired as well. Around 8 or 9 o'clock, she checks my cervix again. And I was joking with her. Like, I'm joking with everybody because at this point, I'm like, let's just make fun of this because it's not real. It's not really happening, but it was. I was like, just tell me I'm 8 centimeters. She checks my cervix and she's like, you're 8 centimeters. 8 to 9. I was like, girl, who? I said, what are y'all coming in here lying for? She was like, no, you're 8 centimeters. You're about to have this baby. And she wanted to put me on a peanut ball. And I was like, hold on. My mom isn't here. Can we wait till my mom gets here before you put me on this ball, right? And so I'm like, wait to put me on the ball because my mama's not here. My mama went in labor with me on her birthday, June 28th, which is Drace's birthday as well. But she didn't want to share a birthday with me, so she held me into the next day. I wasn't doing it for Drace, so I was like, y'all need to call Tina and let her know she need to get her butt to the hospital if she want to see this baby come out of me. Because that's what it was, okay? Because she was like, text me when you 7 centimeters. So, sweetheart, I'm 8 to 9. Get here now. So, I feel like I blinked my eyes. She was there. Inserts video. And she got there. It was great. I had scriptures that I wrote from the Bible, of course, hopefully. And I had about 10 of them because I was like 10 contractions, 10 scriptures. So I was having her read them to me. I was reading them. Dylan was getting my worship playlist going. I was like, this is the song that I want to push him out to. So keep this one. Because I was like, maybe I'm not going to be able to tell you this later. But this is what I want to push him out to. And so he got that going. They check my cervix again. I'm 9 centimeters, but I have some cervix. I have some cervix left. Like, I don't know I'm not a doctor or a nurse, but I had cervix left. And they was like, you still have some cervix left. Get you back on this peanut ball. Y'all, the peanut ball is no joke, okay? That baby will help you dilate for real. And it had them contractions coming. But when I was 9 centimeters, and they put me on the peanut ball, they took me off and it was like, we have to break your water because that's what's keeping him in. They break my water, which was such a weird feeling, but it just feels like a waterfall, literally. After they break my water, the contractions were contracting, okay? I was like, oh. And you know what it was? Yes, it was painful, because it was up my back, and then it was like up my back to my private area in both. So I was like, I don't know what kind of labor I had, truly. But he's just passing gas. Oh my gosh.
You guys to come up. You have the computer to come up.
Yes. Praise the Lord. I was like, not loud. I was not screaming. I wouldn't. I want none of that. None of that. Okay, but it was hurting me. And you know why it was hurting me? Because they was coming like this. I did not get a break. And I remember saying to God, I was looking up the ceiling. I was like, I just need a break. I just need a break. I just need a break, God. And I remember getting a break. Like, it was weird. It's like they would stop for a little bit. I would hear somebody talking to me. And then they would come, and I'm like, okay. And people would hold my hand. The nurse was holding my hand. She was singing my worship playlist. I was like, God, you have ordained this whole thing. And Drace, you stink. And it was like in my mouth or something. But she wanted to check my cervix a final time. And I was like, hold on, I'm having a contraction. And you have to lay on your back for them to check your cervix. And I'm having back labor. 1 + 1 did not equal 2 in that moment. So I'm like, okay, I'm having a contraction. The contraction ends, another one starts. I was like, hold on, I'm having another one. But I was like, just go ahead. So I laid back with the contraction for her to check my cervix. And I kept telling them every time they would check it and tell me a number, I was like, okay, get out of me. They would be like laughing. I'm like, okay, stop. Because it hurts more doing it, you know, while I'm contracting. And so she's like, you're 9, but you still have cervix. I was like, I don't care. Y'all need to get this baby out. And my doctor was an emergency C-section. I don't know who the woman is. I hope she's okay and her baby's okay. More power to you. But baby, I was upset in that moment. Like, she need to get her butt in here to get this baby out of me. And I felt like I was waiting for 4 hours for her, but it wasn't long at all. But the contractions was making me feel like it was long. And so I was trying to get off the bed. And they was like, you can't get up. You can't get up. I was like, why? Because, you know, for me, it felt better when I stood up. And I just hated being in one position going through the same grunting pain and pressure. Because that's when it was like pain in the back, pressure in the front. Because the baby is descending. And so I'm like, I just need to get up. And they're like, no. Because the bed was broken on the bottom half. So it was in preparation for me to have the baby. But I didn't know. I thought they were being mean to me and not letting me get up. And so they're like, no. I'm like, why? And they're like saying this, but I didn't understand what they were saying. I'm like, what? And afterwards, the nurse was like, yeah, if you would have got off the bed or got down there where the bed was broken at, you would have fell on the floor. I'm like, oh, snap. Okay, I'm sorry. It's my bad. I think, I don't know if they checked me again, but I was tired of them checking me. I was like, I just need to have the baby. I told them, I said, Paige, Dr. Paige, because that's my doctor's name, and tell her to come home. And they was laughing, and I don't know, she came though. I was like, I was for real, but I was playing like she need to come home, but I was actually really ready to have a baby. And everybody's telling me, you're so close, you got this, and I'm like, yeah, right, okay. My mama read me the scripture. I'm like, I don't know if that scripture's true right now. But it was. It just, in that moment, I'm like, what do you mean I'm going to forget about these pains and remember joy? I don't know about that one. But I did. I do. I would do it again. Dr. Page comes in. They put my legs on these sternals, and it's like I was in Grey's Anatomy, and I was dying or something because the lights were dim, and it was a spotlights on me, and everybody's like coming in the spotlight like, you're doing great, you got this, you're about to have this baby, I love you, Kenyatta, you're about to have Drace, we're about to meet him. And I'm just looking at everybody like, am I dying? It just seemed like they were ghosts. And so I'm listening to everybody, but I'm not saying anything. I'm talking to God like, please help me. And I remember telling my mom, I was like, I'm so tired, because I was like, them contractions were whooping me, and I'm fighting, okay? But I'm tired because I didn't sleep the night before because I was timing contractions. And so I'm like talking to my mom, like, I'm so tired, Mama. I'm tired. I don't know what she said to me, but I'm sure she was praying because that's who she is. And I feel like everybody was praying. But I'm talking to God. I'm looking at the spotlight like, God, you can go ahead and take me because I'm exhausted. And I was like, I need a break. I kept saying that. I just need a break. I just need a break to God. I was like, God, help me. God, help me. Dylan was like, he remember me saying that. I'm like, cause I needed help, y'all. I needed strength, right? I said, give me strength, right? Because I'm like, now I have to push him out, and I'm exhausted. So up until that point, all the way up until 10 centimeters, I had not screamed, I hadn't cried, I hadn't groaned, I ain't hit nobody. I probably talked a little crazy to Dylan to get behind me and press on my back, but that's about it. I was nice to everybody, which was a surprise to my family. But I started to push, figuring out, because everybody was like, do you have pressure? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to push him out. And so I'm pushing, which felt weird because it felt like I just knew what to do, or my body knows what to do, which is normal. But to me, I'm like, am I doing it right? And so all in all, I pushed for 40 minutes. But the last 10 contractions is when I really pushed him out. And the doctor was like, I'm screaming. When I started pushing, I was screaming. Because I was tired. Like, it was like a roar. I'm like, ugh! And I'm screaming, and I'm like, just get him out of me. I'm sorry. I said it. I said, just get him out of me. And she was like, do you want to feel his head? I was like, and so she takes my fingers and puts it down there. And I jerked my hand back because I was like, girl, what is that? And it was his hair. But it was like weird because it was like the point of his head. I was like, is his head a comb? But I was like, okay, it gave me motivation, no lie. I'm like, okay, he's there. They're right. He's right there. So I'm pushing, but it's not working. I'm pushing and it's not working. And my nurse tells me, when you hold your breath and push, he comes out. But when you breathe, you suck him back in. I was like, I've heard that before. I didn't tell her that. This is in my head. I heard somebody say that on a podcast, or like 2 podcasts. So I was like, she was like, with your next contraction, I need you to push and hold your breath. Now, the contractions before, like, I'm having them back to back. And she would be like, when you have a contraction, push. And she could see the machine. So I would have one, I would push, and I would stop. She was like, you have another contraction? I said, yeah. She said, you gonna push? I said, no. Everybody was laughing. I'm like, I'm tired. I need a break. I was like, can y'all give me a cold towel? I'm hyperventilating because I'm trying to breathe and get air in my lungs. And so I was literally breaking. And she was like, you got to push on the next contraction. I said, no. I was looking at the doctor like, no, ma'am, I ain't doing nothing. And I was like, Kiana, you got to push. I was like, give me a sec. I need a break. I told God that, right? And so I would break. I would wait. And then I would do it on another contraction. And so the final ones, when she was saying, hold your breath, I was winded, okay? But I was like, I'm here. I could feel the ring of fire. It's not as intense as everybody makes it out to be. But at the same time, I was pretty level-headed going into my labor and going into the birth, okay? If you are frantic and traumatized and screaming and crying and you don't want to do anything, it may hurt for you because your body is tense and everything. But for me, I felt it and it felt really like tight. It didn't burn. I don't remember that part. And I told myself in my head, like, that's the part you got to get past. That's what I told myself. I said, this is the part you got to get past, Kenyana. And she said, hold your breath. That's what I remember her saying it. I said, okay. I took a big inhale as much as I could. And I was like, poof, his head. And it was like, there's his head. And I was like, okay. But I'm not crying. I'm just like, okay. And I laid back. And I was like, Kenyana, you gotta push his body out. I was like, what? You serious? I was like, there's like, you need one more push. I was like, so I'm getting up and I'm like, holding my breath again. Whoop. I'm making a sound, but here's the video of him coming out.
Drace! 32.
Yes, God. Yes, Jesus. Thank you, Father.
I'm so
Yes, me too.
so happy for you, baby.
We got a minute?
Yeah, we talk. I mean,
We're at 55.
What time you born?
what time?
He was born in
All right, Dad, come close.
it's been a minute. Here, you go video.
What you need me to do?
He didn't have the cord, so.
Okay, hold on. What? Hold on. Wait. Okay.
We did a minute.
Okay.
Trace.
Yes. What's up, Drace? Oh, Dylan. How you feel, Dylan?
Is there a check?
We paid for one. I'll pay for you.
All right, Drace. He's a big boy.
He is a big boy.
I said
Wow.
7'9". Let me look at him. He about 8 pounds. Hey, Drace. How you feel, baby? You okay?
Good.
You good, Tiana? Congratulations.
Tiana, you mind if I check them out real quick?
Put Sunny's out. Put Sunny's out.
Okay, put's going.
And there's Drace at 1:32 p.m. June 28th, 2024, 8 pounds, 12 ounces, 20 inches long, okay? 20 and a fourth, actually. And so they tell you, like, okay, when you push the baby out, you get a sense of relief. It's all over. And then you just have to push the afterbirth, and it's like you're done. That's a lie. And the truth ain't in it, okay? I push him out. I hold his umbilical cord because it was tight. Like, I'm tall. So when he came out, it like tugged him, and it tugged against my body. So I held the cord because I was like, what the heck? And I'm holding him and I'm crying. At that point, my tears came. I'm crying. Y'all see the video. But I'm holding the cord because I'm like, it's tugging me and him, and I don't want that. And so I didn't even feel myself push the placenta. I think the tugging pulled it, if you ask me. And 2 seconds later, she was like, here's your placenta. And I was like, oh snap, let me see it. She was like, it's just an organ. I'm like, girl, let me see my placenta. And she shows me, and I'm like, okay, cool. I just want to see, you know. She does that. This is what I'm telling you, the pain, nothing stops. Like, yeah, the contractions stop, cool. Whoop-de-doo. The baby on my chest hollering. I was like, Drace, please, you know, I love you. They take him away after a second, after cutting his cord and stuff. I don't mind, just take him. She's like, you have a 2nd-degree tear in internal laceration. I got the internal lacerations. So my legs are still up on this thing. She's sewing me up. She's giving me lidocaine, sewing me up. I have a high pain tolerance, which I'm pretty sure you can tell by this video, but not to say that it hurt really bad. It was just like annoying, okay? So you just popped the baby out. You just popped the placenta out. You just looked at your whole baby that you grew for 9 months. She's like, let me shoot you up with this lidocaine. She's sewing me up. I feel like she was sewing me up for 15 hours. She gets to a certain spot. I said, I can feel that. And this is how calm I was. I said, I can feel that. I pointed at her just like this. She said, oh, snap. And so she gave me more lidocaine. She's still sewing me up. I'm like, girl, did I tear it? What happened? But I gave my sense of time, and, you know, she's trying to do a good job at what she can do. So after you have a baby, you do the placenta, you possibly have stitches. Get done with the stitches. My leg's still in there. I'm trembling because you have aftershakes because I lost blood, obviously, and possibly a lot of blood. I'm shaking while she's sewing me up. Like, my legs are like this. I'm trembling like I'm in the middle of the Antarctic. The lactation specialist comes in. It's time to latch the baby. Do you want to breastfeed? Yes. So she helps me out with that. They get him on me, and I'm like this while she's finishing up down there. Still sewing me. She's finishing up sewing me. You know, I'm breastfeeding. And then they're like, we got to press on your stomach and massage it to get your uterus to contract. What? So nothing stopped, y'all. Like, the baby on me, y'all pressing on my stomach like every 5 minutes. They would come press, blood, everything going out. They come back, press. They come, and it ain't cute. It ain't comfortable. It hurts, okay? And so it was annoying. So the last one, I was like, how many times do you have to do this? And she was like, it looks like you're doing good. You look like you're doing good. I'm not going to do it again. They did it when I got downstairs, so don't believe them. But I was like, it didn't stop. After that, I had to go and use the bathroom. They want to make sure you use the bathroom. They transfer me to another room. Then everybody's coming in to visit. I did not sleep for that whole day. Okay? Like that night, I probably got an hour of sleep. I kid you not. Because I had to feed the baby. It was a lot. But it was beautiful. Okay? So, I don't know. Like, yeah, I was like, this is a bit much. It was still beautiful. Like, the stitches and everything is an adjustment in your postpartum world, baby. But it was beautiful. Even during my labor, like I said, my nurse was singing the song, The Blessing. And it was ringing. And I was like, play it again. Play it again. While I was pushing, I was like, Dylan, play it again. Play it again. Play it again. Because I'm like, the Lord bless my baby and keep my baby, okay? And his face shine upon him and be gracious to Drace, okay? And it got me through so much. And so as I reflect on my labor and delivery story, I'm just like, I thank God. I trusted him all the way. I trusted him during it, before it, because I told y'all I was scared. The human in me was like, baby, this ain't the time nor the place to be having a baby, and I ain't the one to be having one. Which everybody's just like, you're well equipped. Yes, I'm responsible. Yes, I'm this, but I'm like, this ain't what I was wanting at this very moment, right? You know how people plan? I wasn't playing. So it's an adjustment in my mindset to go from this is my single life to now you taking care of a whole person life, right? And I'm thankful for God showing up and showing out the way that he did. Not only did he keep his promise of like allowing me to have my perfect birth plan, be unmedicated, break curses, because when I popped that baby out to my mom, I said I had to do it. I had to break curses. I had to break this curse in our family. I had to break these generational things that's going on. I had to do it differently, right? And God allowed for me to do it. Honestly, I would say the pain wasn't anything where it was supposed to be, right? I'm at 4 centimeters at the doctor having a full-blown conversation with her, not knowing nothing. People are in active labor at 4 centimeters most times, right? And I'm like, God, you keep your promises. You, like, your favor is amazing. It surmounts so much, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I fasted. Yeah, I've been faithful to God, but I still didn't think that I would have it so perfectly like that, right? I don't care nothing about no stitches. I don't care nothing about having to heal and none of that in my body postpartum. Like, I do flesh-wise, but spiritually, I'm like, God, I see what you've done, right? When I tell y'all, when I push Drace out, this is how I know he's amazing. God is as well. I was crying. My husband Dylan was crying. My mama, his mama, the nurse was crying. I was like, God, you in here working miracles and on people's behalf, and it ain't got nothing to do with me. It's this baby, right? Like, this baby meant so much to people. This experience, my nurse wrote me a thank you card. She brought me donuts and a gift for my birthday the next day. And she was like, this really changed my life, and your birth experience really encouraged me. And I'm like, thank you.
If I had to pick one word to describe it, it would be life-changing. To see like a life brought into the world, I think that's pretty crazy. And then like the energy in the room is something you probably won't be prepared for. So.
What was the energy like?
It's like, a weight has been lifted off your shoulders. You know what I mean?
Like for you?
I mean, just for everybody in the room, like the
'Cause
nurses.
it's like the anticipation, almost.
I guess you can say that, but it's just like it's something you won't be prepared for. That's the best way I can explain it. But it was dope to see him come out healthy, and everybody in the room was happy, crying. Even the nurse was like crying and stuff. And for you to be healthy, it's a cool experience. I didn't push him out, but I definitely was making sure y'all was good. So
Yeah, no, you did great.
yeah. Shout out to you. Shout out to the nurses. Shout out to our mamas. Shout out to him. Shout out to God. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to the angels in the room. It was dope.